Alright, we're checking out the custom servers. This is fueled through the Nitrado system. It's an app you would download on your Xbox, but it's easier just to go on the actual online browser in order to handle things. We're going to show that off in a sec here. So with the servers, these are kind of subject to change because they apparently are going to get perhaps tweaked or advanced upon over time. We're taking a look at this purely from the sort of launch standpoint. Now, it took about 10 days for my server to actually get installed, which is kind of a bit ridiculous. But that was because they didn't have servers installed to handle the demand, which was short-sighted by them, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, moving past that, finally have access to it. So for context, these servers available Xbox or PlayStation 4, either or. You pay, for how many days you want, and you can keep adding time to that. Personally, I find them quite expensive. In my opinion, you'll have to check, for your region particularly, how expensive they actually are for you to acquire and pay for over time. I will mention that they come in a number of different options around the world, so you can kind of pick your server location, and then you can choose the days. So there's slot options. You get 10 slots, which is what I'm using now. There's also a 20 slot, a 32 slot, a 50 slot, a 70 slot, and a 100 slot. You can buy them in periods of time of 30 days, 90 days, or 1 year periods. And they are quite expensive. To give a rough estimate, just so you know, for the 10 days, it is $13.99 USD, so American dollars. And that's just for 30 days, which is kind of ridiculous. And I make the comparison based on my knowledge of Minecraft Realms, just having that going on, and that's a bit more of a premium service that allows you to do a lot more with it. So we're going to quickly take a gap here and show off the actual behind the scenes customization and the process of purchasing it, just so you get an idea of things. Okay, so the first thing you do is on Xbox, you go to the Xbox App Store and you download this thing called Nitrado. You can also go to the online sort of web thing, and that's kind of the process for really doing anything. So you might want to head just to the web to do it, but it's easier just to do it through the Xbox app if you are on that platform. So this is kind of what it looks like. You pick the game, obviously DayZ Xbox One. You pick your location close to where you are, and then you pick your slot allotment. So these are Canadian pricing. It's going to change region to region. Just so you know, you're going to have to look that up online or through the app. So once you go to the online site, and your server finally kicks in. Took about 10 days for mine to actually do so. You get the dashboard area. Here you can stop your server, you can reload your server, lots of things. I will mention, you see your player count at the top, and then you can see what version of the game you're running. I will mention that the server browsers are kind of a pain in the game. They're kind of glitched right now, so you actually have to tab through 20 pages to find yours, which may be on page 13. So past that, we go to the settings area. This is where you can change the name, the password if you want to have it. You can adjust the server time. That basically is the daylight. So it's like how long are your days, how long are your nights, and you kind of tweak those, and you have to actually reset the server to apply this. Going past that, you can make it forced first person. You can deactivate the crosshair. Lots of little tweaking settings here, as you can see, custom server time and everything like that, and you can adjust these as far as you want. I'm just covering the main points in this area so that regular folks can actually get in and take a look at what is available to tweak easily in this game. Again, it's not very in depth, it's very straightforward, and then you save your changes, and again, you have to actually restart the server for these to apply to your server, just so you know. Then we go to the edit files. This is the area where you're able to tweak your messages, what you want in the game. I've kind of set some things. It seems very hard to actually get this to stay and work, and I kind of talk about that a little bit more later on. Like I mentioned with the server browser, it actually, even if you favorite it, you still have to tab through all these pages, and that needs to be tweaked and made better. Cool, and now that we're actually back into the game, this is of course on the server. I did have another person online, but quiet right now because we just got this kicking off, so you don't really get options. As you can see, I've turned the chat to enabled, and I haven't seen any of the messages I set up for the game actually show up in the game yet. I tried having those messages off, I tried restarting the game, tried a number of things. The message system doesn't quite seem to be functional, or it's just not showing up on my console. It's because I'm the host. I don't know, I can't seem to get it to go. It was also very hard to actually get the messages to save on the online site. I had to do it multiple times in order to get it to actually keep. So yeah, that's not really too thrilling. I've also discovered that it seems that performance issues in this game are actually tied more to the game than servers, it seems, because I'm basically in an empty server here, and I'm still having sort of little bits of hiccup, when it comes to performance issues like that. So generally, when I think about the servers and what I want out of it, I was looking for more, especially considering the cost. So, like I said, in my opinion, these are quite expensive to pay for in comparison to other cloud-based, well, I guess these aren't even, servers. Just making that comparison. And you don't really get anything out of it. So this is great if you want to have something where it's like, I see many people message, they want their own self-contained universe that they can basically play single-player DayZ. Sure, yeah, you can do that in this. You can set a password. You never have to run into anyone. You can just play with the zombies, do what you want. You can also just have like a couple friends join in. You can do that. I feel like it's slightly unrealistic to actually have a server with a good quantity of people. So now when I make a comparison to the Minecraft realms, you're able to have, for a cheaper price, 10 players plus you. So there's 11 players you can have in the server at a time. And that's like the higher tier option. Now, you're like, oh, well, that's not much. That's the base option here. True. But in that, you actually get so many control options in regards to like dealing with the world, switching it to creative and regular and everything like that. There's so many more tweaking options, whereas here you're just really restricted to changing the name of the server and you can restart it. That's really it. I believe they're adding whitelisting soon, so that might be a good idea in regards to keeping certain people out and everything like that. But I was hoping for maybe item spawning or teleportation or something extra, as it just feels very bare bones and minimal. I just was hoping for something else more, because you really can't do anything in this. It's just like, it's a cool self-contained aspect of the game, so you can experiment and do all kinds of things in, which I'm certainly going to enjoy doing, but at the same time it's a little bit underwhelming, just taking a look at the cost and what you get, based on gameplay. Now, it might be worth it to some people, and you may have, I don't know, like a squad of people that all pitch in and you pay for your server. That's cool. But just looking at it from my perspective, even having it as something that like runs just for supporting like the YouTube content and stuff like that, it's really not a lot of return on value on that one. I mean, it must be doing well considering how many people are jumping in on it, but to me, I don't personally find this to be too worthwhile of a purchase. Just looking at like how long it actually took to get this going. There's like calls you can make, like they have a support center and stuff like that, but they kind of just, it notes on their area and everything like that. For this kind of type of game, you're supposed to actually contact the DayZ people, but they won't give you any details about it, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's not quite well organized enough, in my opinion, for that. I mean, it's cool. You get your own little self-contained world. You can have people in it. I have this one just open for testing and everything like that. Really? But I mean, you can't really edit anything. You can change the time of day, so that actually does function correctly. I have short nights, some nights a few minutes or something. So you can easily set those time values. You do need to reset the server in order to have that come into effect, like I mentioned. But you can't change like the loot economy. You can't change, what goes on, the weather. It just really feels bare bones and minimal for what they could provide. The fact that we have them is nice, but at the same time, I didn't expect such cost barriers to coming in here. I mean, servers aren't cheap, but at the same time, it's like you got to give us something more worthwhile to make that actually matter. So I actually ran quite far to get to this city. I was in the neighboring one, and I was thinking of going straight up to the military base. But I thought for performance and just kind of showcasing what the servers, are going to feel like in this type of situation, it was best to go into one of the main city hub areas and go down one of the main streets to kind of show that off, just so you could see, like, this is what it's like. And we are on Xbox One X, if you are wondering about that aspect of it. Just so you know, performance-wise, you can make the comparison to the base console or to the PlayStation side of things. And yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's definitely a neat thing to have. I like a server. I like the idea of it. It's a cool little area I can share with people. But it's just really cost prohibitive to actually enjoy for extended periods of time. Like, I'd pay for a realm, and it was like, okay, cool, whatever. It's not too much a year. But you look at this, and it's like, you know, it's quite expensive. I wonder if I need the... it's not really that much of an upgrade space-wise. But I do hate the look of these hiking pants, that's for sure. But yeah, it's cool because it's weird seeing the game in a state of there not being a lot of people, if that makes sense. Like, it's almost weird because usually I always play with the maxed out quantity of individuals you can have, or I try to find servers that are always full. So it's weird seeing these like smaller server amounts. And I mean, 10 is a fine amount. You know, you can actually have a good group of friends in there. You can explore as you like. But it's also kind of like lonely and quiet, if that makes sense. I'm just really used to there being that sense of other people running around. And I mean, I do have other people that can join it. It's an open game. I haven't locked it. But at the same time, it's like, how likely are you gonna run into people in such a large world? Because it is truly massive. It's just unlikely unless you're actually setting things up for you to come across another player. And that's why I was hoping we'd be able to get, you know, higher player counts for, you know, the cost area to make up for the fact that you can't really do anything such as like custom spawning, you know, as in creating items and that. Because I would have really liked to do some fun things where, I don't know, I'm building like a base and I have people come in and they like attack the base or something like that. I thought that might be really fun, but that's not realistic because they don't offer that option. I can't equip this. I guess that's because I already have one in there, right? Yeah. But I think this one's really going to come down to whether or not you... Oh, cool. Whether or not you find value in what they provide with this package. There we go. Let's work and grab some ammo. I like some elements of it, but I don't like other aspects of it. And I find that the cost point is going to just be prohibitive for most people to jump in here. I have seen that tons of people have bought it. We'll have to see if that continues to carry on past launch, if people are liking it, if they get good feedback. But at this point, I likely won't continue getting additional months just because I don't quite see the value in it at this point. I wanted custom creation or like even being able to change things, because I mean, you really can't do anything. Well, you can't do anything from in the game. You're a host, but you have no host options. You have no host abilities, no benefits to being the host, other than you have ownership of it and you can go on their web app and tweak things. Yeah, even like I mentioned, the app itself in the game actually jumps out into the Edge app, or yeah, on Xbox, so you can't even do that within the app. You actually have to tweak things outside of it, which kind of makes the app pointless. Tactical build too. So yeah, that's kind of what to expect in this, you know. Ooh, a landmine, wow. It's cool, but at the same time lacking, and hopefully they do upgrade it. And maybe I'll consider jumping back in at that point in order to take a look at what they have expanded and what they hope to offer. But at the same time, it might kind of be the exact same. And I think it's nice that Nitrado is able to offer this sort of thing. I just want more value out of what they are offering us. And I don't know if it's necessarily their fault with how like things went with the launch of this, because I understand it was quite rough. But as you've seen over the course of this, performance-wise, it does run, I'd say, adequately in comparison to the main package. course, I haven't been able to test things with like larger player counts, but I assume it's sort of similar. It'd be very interesting to see if they could expand that even further out, as the game was being tested with larger player counts of, I believe, 120 at one point, and maybe even, I think even 150 at one point on Bohemia's end. So it'll be interesting if they are able to perhaps increase the player count for cost-wise, extra tiers, or if things will stay the same. And I guess we'll have to wait and see, but that's servers right now.